Fantastic, Anthony. Good to see
Good
you.
to be here.
For those who don't know, can you make an
Yeah,
introduction?
no, absolutely. So, Anthony Diaz, founder and CEO of Health Hero, and we are a modern health engagement company, a health to earn company. Yeah, it's good to be here.
Fantastic. You have one of the most fascinating products I've seen lately. I wanted to have this chat, and you give us an idea how you started, what Health Hero is about. So why don't we start there? Can you walk me through what gave you the idea and how did you start Health Hero?
Yeah, so I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, playing video games. I saw my dad benevolently care for a generation that typically gets forgotten in the form of he was a nutritionist and dietitian for a nursing home. Him and my mother were also very active in the church. We were very active in the church in Brooklyn, New York. So I got to see the benefits of nutrition, hospitality, nutrition, spirituality growing up. But it was also a time in Brooklyn where it was very dangerous. We didn't live in the best neighborhood in the world. So I was indoors a lot, playing a lot of video games, comic books, manifesting worlds in my head and things like that. So kind of grew up a lot with games, video games, manga, cartoons, but I was also fascinated by what my parents did and how they helped so many people with nutrition, spirituality, and I felt like the combination of the two eventually were going to be paths that I would want to try and solve a problem with the convergence of that. If you can take people's tendency for games, for fiction, for stories, and connect that with driving better health results, that's kind of driven my obsession most of my life. It led me to, uh, my dad inspired me to do information technology out of school. I built encoded claim systems for the largest managed mental health care company. I got to see the impact of spirituality and mental health on health and how that's kind of the battery and the ethos that runs everyone's if they have a tendency to walk or run in a given day. And I lost my dad to heart disease. If you can imagine, that put a big fire in my belly. And since then, it's just been doing exactly what we've been doing in the ethos, but just more and more and more and in a greater way. Now we have a mission to help a billion happy, healthy people get happy, healthy, right? If a billion people get happy and healthy is the goal, and to do it in the most fun way possible. So our mission just continues to grow, and blessed to be doing it now. So
That's fantastic. That's the first time I hear a combination of one, a nutrition background, and two, a spiritual background. That's really interesting. So, and then once you started getting from background and getting around this space, how did Health Heroes idea came to mind?
yeah, so this is my third company. Before I went down the entrepreneurial path, I did consultation in HR for different commodity company, and I got to see employees really struggle with capturing healthy activity. So I had to help roll out wellness programs. I had to look at those things, different HR programs, and essentially you start to realize that helping employees get healthier is more of a cultural thing. So you have to make it fun, you have to make it simple. Saw the products and solutions that are out in market, and they lacked gamification, they lacked fun, they lacked accessibility, right? So imagine like steel workers, right? Don't have access to computers, and so you got to make things simple, mobile friendly. So sending them a text message with a couple of health questions goes a long way, and knowing that if they answer those questions, they may can get $50 back on their paycheck that given month for just engaging in their health. So we just started compiling those programs and started realizing there's a better way, there's a simpler way. And since the get-go, we started initially putting just proof of concepts with get a $5 Starbucks gift card for walking a little bit per week, right? Or just doing 2 or 3 workouts and just telling us on our system that you did those workouts, and just getting that 1-2 in combination. And if you can imagine now, that just has grown to the point of, we're supporting 11,000 communities and companies around the world, the dominant employee wellness solution on Microsoft, Salesforce, and Slack. Pandemic drew everyone to go online to use their products to help with culture, modern workplace. And so blessed to be highly downloaded and highly used across many different companies around the world, obviously leveraging IoT and connecting with Apple Health, fitness, etc. And as we've grown to giving gift cards and enabling fiat currency and working with insurance companies to enable that process, then it just makes sense as well. It's like, well, what if you decentralize the gamification items in the terms of NFTs and tokens? So basically, you crank up reward, crank up recognition really high. But we've also learned that employees really want recognition, but no one's going to ask for a pat on the back. So every experience you have has to have a really good social leaderboard, a way of honoring people in very super creative ways for honoring if someone took 100,000 steps, but maybe that person can't even walk. What if they're meditating, or what if they're doing really good nutritional things, or maybe they're fasting and doing keto, maybe they're worshiping and praying and meditating, right? Everyone expresses well-being in very different ways. And so you have to honor that diversity and also make sure it's broader and holistic. And so high rewards, high recognition, the way we do our mission of helping a billion happy, healthy people, which is our mission, kind of the how is easy. Just make sure it's super rewarding, super recognizing, very simple, very accessible. And everything we do is just centered around that. And we feel like just keep tripling down on that is going to enable a lot more people to get healthy. So,
And product wise, if I'm a customer today and I download Go Healthy Hero, what do I see? What
yeah,
do I get?
absolutely. So come to Microsoft Teams, come to Slack, uh, come to Salesforce. If you use those applications, you should be able to just type in employee wellness and then just download us from there. And then you can start using us for 10 users for free or for a limited time. And then you can upgrade. You can pull out your credit card and then upgrade or not. You can pay with Stripe. Very consumer easy, friendly process. That's what we saw with a lot of enterprise apps. Is they're very complex. You need to get 6 people on the call for 2 months to purchase the product. We believe that great wellness programs, great health engagement can be accessible in less than 2 taps or less than 30 seconds. If you're a consumer now, we've taken those experiences and funneled them into a global competition. So anyone around the world can use them through Discord. We have our web apps, iOS, Android, etc. The bot, it's a bot, code it once, deploy many, right? Work on Telegram, works on actually TikTok now, works on Twitter as well. Discord has been the biggest kind of network effect for us, for consumers. There's so many
Mm.
people that are into games, into crypto, and we've just had a blessing of explosion of growth there. Now, keep in mind as well, like our mission is to be a health to earn company, really enabling people's lifestyle to cover for their basic needs. And what we're doing up to this point is really just expressing that ethos in the form of the way the world knows things today, right? Which is health engagement programs, employee wellness programs. But telehealth is a part of the product as well. So in the US, you can also get a really good telehealth plan for you and your family for $39. So that's really exciting. We just released that product. That's a part of the ecosystem. And then obviously doing healthy activities. Sorry about that. Doing activities in our platform also earns you tokens and NFTs. Most importantly, as well, you'll be able to enroll into our experience where you can get so much more activities, access to games, access to other things that we're building. So, for instance, tonight, not to date the podcast, we're launching our first game jam, right? And so that first game jam will have the ability to enable game developers around the world to build games, to build mini games off of our platform, other ways to earn more things. So we're really excited about that as well. So think about our console as well as like where our platform is a console where we plan to launch 20 other health heroes off of our platform so that if someone in Dublin, Ireland has a really cool health game that asks a bunch of quiz questions, gives a lot of fun stuff, and maybe asks you to track your healthy activity, and maybe it makes a little video game guy move around a little bit faster or look a little bit better, and then maybe have some tokens as a part of that. Let's launch that. Let's help them launch that, right? Companies are launching these experiences all around the world. They don't have a really good platform to do it. They're spending probably $100,000 or $1,000,000, too much money to put together that company, that platform. And so, yeah, we're really excited. So think about the infrastructure of what we are is like an open source, decentralized Nintendo for well-being if you were to combine any 5 words, right? So.
That's very interesting. So you can enable companies to provide similar experiences to their employees. So how can they do
Yeah.
that?
So essentially, through our game jam, you have the ability to. So right now, You have we have three games. We have three games. We have a quiz game, we have a battle card game, and we have a sleep game called Sleep Fighter 2. We also have a go kart game that we're working on as
Mhm.
well. All of those, the quiz game is going to ask you questions about yourself. The quiz game is going to ask you questions about nutrition in general, well being in general. You get points for those things. And so, what we wanted to demo to the world, like, here's how we're building games off of our own platform, right? Here's all the Lego pieces and raw materials in terms of APIs. What will you build? So tonight we have about 50 game developers around the world ready to go for 1 week to build their version of what a cool game looks like, right? And so we've gotten some hints of what people are building, like a role playing game where, or a running game where the runner is running as fast as you did steps last night. Our Sleep Fighter 2 game is based on, how strong your fighter is and how well he can fight based on how good of a night's sleep you got, right? So obviously, plug for TERRA, right? The more IoT data that we get, the broadness of that data, we can now just take that and not just gamify it with like points and hearts and coins and XP and HP, which we do, but now that can translate into games. And ideally, our games are not something you sit and play for 15 minutes or more than like 15 minutes, like short mini 15-minute session games. You get rewarded, quick, easy to play. You learn a lesson and you move on. And ideally, most of our games, we want to invite them to be very mobile friendly. You can play them with a thumb. And we think that's a really good intersection of merging our human tendency for games and competition, but also not disconnecting that gameplay from real world achievements and growth physically, spiritually, mentally. And obviously, the data that we get from that, we have over 4 billion data points right now. So we know what makes a healthy person. And we have all of that spiritual and mental health data, but mostly that spiritual data. We've just found the formula. We give away the formula too as well. People that are super
Mm.
spiritual, that eat plants, that move a lot, have a sense of purpose are like 300% healthier than those that don't. It's that simple. That's the algorithm. And so the more spiritual information that we can promote, provide, invite, the more mental health questions and information we can provide as well, including our own telehealth plans, our own mental health plans as well, unlocks more data, more programming, and then connecting that neuro association with activities in those spaces to grow even more serves as really good actuarial models. So health insurance companies around the world are coming to us and saying, how do you have all this data and we don't? And all we say is, look, we're just taking the high road. We're inviting the most fun experiences in games. When you have games that are good and fun and simple, people trust you. They're willing to give information, answer a few questions to the bot, answer health risk assessment questions, continue playing, sharing it with their friends. It's community, it's social, just keeps that wheel turning constantly. So
Mhm. I mean, gamifying is in our space is such a big topic, and everybody speaks about it. But at the same time, I've seen very few companies being very successful with it, and it's like you guys have been growing extremely fast through it. So what what is the insight that you know, or maybe what are you guys doing best that the rest do not do
I think
well?
what our customers and our partners tell us what we do best is number one, accessibility and simplicity, right? You have to be forefront and center, and you can't be selfish about your own app and your own brand and getting your own iOS and Android app and your web app, right? Be front and center where people's eyeballs are at. Microsoft Teams, Slack, and Salesforce, these two companies contain most of the communications around the world, employee to employee. So if you have an app that integrates right there and it's a bot, it's simple, it's easy to use. You connect your Apple Watch or Google Fit, through TERRA very quickly, very easily. Boom, you're done. You're set. And then if the application is social, it's sharing, etc. And then on the consumer side, if most consumers are communicating on Discord, Facebook, TikTok, IG, Instagram, make sure your bot and application works in those as simple as possible. So low friction, like a jet plane. Don't add any extra things that don't add to the aerodynamics. Be front and center, and then have enhanced experiences with your iOS and Android app. But that's where it starts. And then number two is connect high reward, high recognition. So very creative but simple leaderboards so that everyone has a chance to win. They have that orientation. They have scoreboards, various different scoreboards and leagues that they can be a part of and rank for. And then obviously connecting those we believe that communication is all about vibration as well. Like, so if you can communicate in a way that's vibrating or resonating with a certain game type, and they're familiar with like an 8-bit looking aesthetic or a certain type of gameplay, or maybe it's Fortnite, right? Well, one of the game developers tonight that's going to start literally in like 9 hours is building like a little Fortnite type game, but the character, not too violent, right? We don't want to promote violence or anything like that, but that's going to resonate with that group, right? That with people all love Fortnite, but now the character has better gear, better things, better abilities, as healthy and as holistic you are living your real life, right? That says something, right? That's a new like status symbol. So we're converging on that sense of with our NFTs, right? They're like baseball cards as well, right? So this all sounds crazy and funny, but that's the way our brains work, right? Well-being in itself is literally now a new type of status symbol, no different than people posting on Instagram. That's well-being information. But people just haven't had a really good way to express their well-being information and get rewarded and recognize it contextually, right? So that's the big thing. So yeah.
So it's strong focus on simplicity, but then I mean, the ultimate complexity is like being very simple, and then high recognition and rewards that you mentioned. You mentioned NFTs. So how does this work? How can I gain
Yeah.
NFTs while using
So it's great.
Amplify?
Yeah, we have two NFT collections. One which is a trademark well-being WNFT that we have, which is kind of like your Pokemon card. It's your own personal stats, your own face, and it has your hearts, your stars, your star power hearts, and they're all related to like streaks of working out and doing healthy activity or sharing out things about your health, and you get star power from that. I think the other thing as well is you're also able to get one of our GoBots, which is a parcel of 2D metaverse land. This all sounds silly to talk about, right? I mean, if you imagine like 2 years ago, we would be having this conversation, be like, what are you guys talking about in 2022? But here we are, and people go crazy for our parcels of land. That you can buy those, you can earn those. They're limited to supply and connection, but it's just enough to get us to the point that it sets us the utility where people are like, oh wow, not only did I earn this NFT that's like these two things that right now, crypto is a little odd right now, but if I sell them, they're $300. Would you walk 100,000 steps for $300? Would you walk 100,000 steps in a month to unlock a telehealth plan for you and your family? When our token launches, obviously the token will have value in itself. There's no promises, right, on what that's going to be worth and what that could be like. There's a lot of move to earn companies that have created unsustainable tokenomics. We're not fans of those tokenomics, but we love and appreciate them because our applications will work with those applications as well through integrations, right? So they can be input sources for us. Move to earn has set the tone for what we feel is a more appropriate market for planet Earth, which is health to earn. People's activity covering their basic needs. So that's why we've taken the risk of you get free health plans if you're doing healthy stuff, and you'll get reimbursed for healthy food. So we believe, society believes that if you're able to pay for most of your bills, if you have really good, decent health care where you can see a doctor pretty quick if something's wrong, and if you could get $25 to $100 worth of your fruits and veggies and healthy food covered for you, and you're consuming that, you're essentially like 1% of the 1% of people on the planet. But the incentives haven't been there. So essentially that's how it works now. When we release the healthy token, roughly within the next 8 weeks, that currency obviously will potentially have value in itself. But we're here to say like it could be zero, so there's no promises. But at the end of the day, the element of the tokenomics that we can commit to is definitely we offer telehealth and we can reimburse for healthy food. We may operate at a loss for some part, right? Or we may not be able to do that for 10 million users. We can only do that for 2 million, but we'll always be able to arrive at a reasonable value proposition and set that expectation. And that invites just so much more data. And then obviously at the end of the day, working directly with health insurance companies, working directly with employers in greater ways, right? We just have a far superior utility that these health insurance companies, the big guys, United, Cigna, around the planet, they'd have to go to 7 different vendors across 18 different months and set up 19 or 20 different feeds to arrive at something that we have now, one utility, right? So yeah, that's what we mean. I mean, it's at the end of the day, the service utility that can support the concept of universal health income, which we believe is a better, more appropriate concept to universal basic income or universal services If you have a utility that supports universal health income, if you and I were starting a country from scratch or we landed on a different planet, health insurance is the last concept that you and I would come up with. We would just say, hey, look, it's a new colony, right? Like let's just set up something where people are really healthy and like they don't have to suffer, right? And then next thing you know, everyone's an engineer, everyone's innovating, everyone's expressing the spiritual virtues of joy, happiness, etc. And obviously, then if you want to become a CFO about that city, then you're like, oh my gosh, this is why the GDP of our new country is through the roof. No one's suffering, and everyone's like building stuff that helps everyone else. Wow, go figure. So that's what we mean by, yeah, if health insurance didn't exist today, we wouldn't invent it. Yeah. So yeah.
Mm, mm. So basically, we're reaching to a point that someone can eat healthily, they can exercise, and they can live a healthy life, and you can reward them for it. So that's a crazy thing to think about. Um, and then you spoke about creating a token. What's the process there? How can someone
You
do
can
it?
create a token on anything. Polygon for us is an investor, and so the token will launch on Polygon. Very simple to create a token, honestly. There's a million YouTubes on how to do it more easily, more sophisticated. There's product hunt products that pop up every 3 weeks on how to create a token. So the semantics of that is just you have to
Mm.
decide what kind of token, what's the supply. But the most important part of most things is like, is there a market for it? Is there a demand? Where will you list? What exchanges? There's different launch pads to do it. There's the legal side of it as well. There's things, most importantly, that's why it's important to keep it as a game. So if you keep it as purely a utility token and you're not, making sure it's a security, and I'm not saying you do thing, you're going to get this, you're fine, right? And that's the most important thing. And if you think about it, right, take Chuck E. Cheese tokens, right? We've all been to Chuck E. Cheese or these game where there's these Chuck E. Cheese tokens, and that's all we have, right? My Chuck E. Cheese tokens when I went and played Star Wars on Chuck E. Cheese when I was 10, Chuck E. Cheese created new tokens. They have new tokens now. I can't cash those in, but at that point in time, they had utility for that point in time and the conditions that they set. And so there is definitely infrastructure to create things. Our collections right now are on Polygon. We also plan to release some loot for our metaverse on Immutable and GameStop, but pretty straightforward and easy. Our ambitions, just to kind of put it out there, is also to launch a $100 million fund to the developers and companies that come to us and are building great games. And if there are like 2 or 3 people willing to like start a company, could and should we become a Y Combinator for well-being, digital well-being companies? Absolutely. So we have a development fund. Let's say that development fund, God willing, grows to be something that's like 5 or 10 million in a token supply. We're kicking off the concept by incentivizing these groups with, 500,000 worth of healthy just to get them to the next level. And then we could write them a greater check for, 5 to 7% equity of that company as well. And so that's what we mean by like, we're kicking off as an open source, decentralized version of Nintendo. But if we can, we want to grow our platform to actually help them launch the coin, to help them launch it, marketing, everything all in one. So that ideally, legally, if a 9-year-old wanted to create the next Step In or Sweat Coin or move to Earn app, essentially all they need is 20 minutes of focus, parental supervision. And next thing you know, they've created a health hero that could and should be worth more than health hero, right? We're not all trying to be the number one thing, right? There are companies that are built off of GitHub, right, that are so much more valuable than GitHub, right? And that's when you're really talking about next gen well-being infrastructure for the world. So
Mm, mm. And how much are you catering your focus into the next gen of founders? Because I see it, there seems to be like you're having an exceptional growth, and you mentioned TikTok earlier. What are the channels you are using to find these people in
yeah,
general?
I think the channels we're using are really social media, friends telling friends, everything that we do in the application, setting it up for network effects. So the NFX people have really put a good playbook for network effects. So when you're doing a product, make sure everything can amplify everything. So every person that posts a workout has an opportunity to share it for a reason, for a benefit, because they don't want to lose their star in their card, right? They want to keep the streak going. They want to see that heart that looks like a little Legend of Zelda kind of heart, right? They want to see that go up. They want to do things for XP. They want to show on the leaderboard. So everything amplifies, and then they tell their friends, and those friends get more of a part of it. And then our bot is always asking those people. Our bot's the best. I don't want to say salesperson, but our bot is a consultant that's having, literally as we speak, thousands and thousands concurrent conversations right now. It's a pretty smart bot. So it knows when to nudge you to do the right next thing. It knows when to nudge you to invite you for, hey, for another extra 100 XP, invite me to your MS Teams app, for your company, right? So it's always asking questions persistently and growing. You can't really do that with traditional applications. So our bot right now is the hardest working thing in our company. So that's way you got to set it up. So everything's about sharing, everything's about inviting content, everything's about, XYZ. So yeah.
From your website, I just saw the values that you have, and they're just so different than what you see from any company. So the values that it states there is love, greatness, and unity. So how comes and you came up with these values, and how do they reflect the people that work
Right.
with you?
So one thing that we find with the data, right? So what equates to what is good spiritual health without getting into religion, right? So we're not into religious. We don't, are like, are you religious? No, we don't. Religious is just a set of things that you're trying to do, to get to the next level. But if you look at all the formal religions out there, you deconstruct them into what are the spiritual virtues. And if one is exuding and experiencing, and one says that they're love, greatness, unity, kindness, sweet, from a Christian standpoint, right? Those are the fruits of the spirit, right? People that actually are ingesting that and exuding that are far more fulfilled, happy, have hope, right? But the greatest of these is love. Every language says that, right? Every language, every religion, that is undeniable, undebatable, whether you're not doing good things in this world or you're doing great things. Love and that feeling is undeniable and the core thing of spirituality that matters the most. So we want to promote that, grow that. And then obviously from a spiritual context, define greatness in terms of what you feel great spiritual greatness is, not physical greatness, not mental greatness, not achievements, not I got 3 Lambos in the garage greatness. I got 1 million TikTok followers greatness. But are you being great, and can your family and friends exhibit or see that greatness from a spiritual standpoint? Do you literally resonate? There's almost like a sense of energy about you, a sense of emotion element around you. And then unity, if we can all be one, right? Some people believe in God, some don't. We're not here to say, otherwise, but we do want to draw people to the commonality of what are the undeniables on how people think of optimal spiritual health. And then once you have that, once you have hope, once you have love, training really well and getting your biceps really big become a means to an end, because you know what, I got to go spread this love to everyone else. So I got to be in really good shape to spread this love and hope and help other people, right? I need energy, so I'm not going to eat the potato chips, and I will be drinking my celery juice today. I'm going to stay in optimal energy. I'm going to stay in ketosis because I got to share this word. I got to share this love. I got to share this unity. I got to bring that message of hope. That's what it's all about. And 99% of health engagement companies, health insurance companies out there, nothing against them, but they're a little shy about saying that. And we say, don't be shy about saying that, because let's just be math geeks, mathematically, algorithmically. That's the difference that makes a difference. And we've proven that. Yeah.
So once you have the foundations, that are the values that you mentioned, then you can live a different life. That's very interesting. That's
It's all
very,
about
very
the why.
interesting.
It's all about the why. If you
And
don't have the why, everyone should stay in bed all day, get on welfare state, eat potato chips. If you don't have a why and hope, we do believe this human body we're in it's a temporary thing, right? And so one has to know in their heart, how everyone knows in their heart when something really traumatic or bad happens, what's the first thing they say? The sentence they say always implies something eternal, something that moves on, something that passed, something that we were in a body. It's only through those extreme emotions that trauma unlocks, and that gets us to say the thing, and we know in our heart that's in our subconscious, but we're not consciously saying that. And that's what matters. And so once you have that hope, once you have that everything, then it's just like, I need to spread this love. I need to stay in ultimate fitness, optimal fitness. I need to stay in optimal energy, optimal spiritual. You know, I'm gonna think
Hmm.
twice about wallowing in depression in my own selfishness and myself. I'm gonna get over this trauma really quick. You know, because I have so much more. I have limited
Hmm.
time to do. I've got a job to do. Yeah. So
And when someone is joining your team, can you understand whether they have these
I think
values?
it's about why do you do what you do? Why us? Yeah, why Health Hero? And I think it's about exactly what I just said. We share our ethos, share the stories of other team members and customers, and share the high level data. Just like mathematically, would you disagree with this data? You know, highly spiritual, highly focused, mental, mindful, but very spiritually grounded people are far more healthier than those that are not. And if showing that data to a candidate resonates with them, they get it, right? And it could be someone that's like they know the person they're supposed to be, and they feel like working at Health Hero is going to unlock them. So I always say in an interview, I'm like, tell me about the person you're supposed to be that you may be a little nervous about being. And and if you feel if
Mm.
that person is a gap and you feel like there's another company that can help you get there, you should go work for them. I'm going to help you get a job for a company. But I think that we're the company that's going to get you to close that gap. Who were you put on? What is the person on earth that you were meant to be? And Health Hero as an employee is here to help you get there. And if we help you get there, most importantly, you're going to help millions of more people get there as well. So every line of code you do, or every business development email or community success message you send is going to have that amplification effect. And once they see that, they see like I wrote a line of code today, and now 130 people have improved biometrics because that set a feature. Then it becomes not just this dopamine effect, but more a sustainable conviction effect, which conviction is so much more longer lasting than dopamine, which fatigues us eventually. Most startups are running on dopamine. They're not run on conviction, right? And so I always tell people
Mm.
I can't get out of bed for I may have the next gen idea for like a free energy device, right? But I can't get out of bed for that right now. We got some basics to do. We got some people in this world that through COVID, through everything, they need hope restored, and we're not seeing a lot of people taking the high road using games to do it. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so it's very similar to what I am always thinking, which is, um, why are you doing what you're
yeah,
doing?
exactly.
Uh,
It's all about the why. We're here to help people. We're here to just take our previous. Everyone's had bad stuff happen. Everyone's had trauma, and when you get over those things, um, it changes everything. And you don't have to sometimes get over there. Sometimes getting over things that have happened to you are all about helping someone else, right? Everyone has it a little bit worse. In there's thousands of people in a hospital bed right now, very sick, probably praying for the opportunities that you and I have. Praying, right? That changes everything, right? And so
mhm.
we do have limited
Yeah.
time, and we just gotta focus on helping as many people as possible. The why is all important, and a lot of people are doing a thing that gets
Mhm.
into a thing that think, oh, I'm going to work at this one crypto startup or next gen martech platform company because once I get that skill, I'm going to be a marketing pro. And then once I do that, I'm going to get this, and then I'll come back and do my purpose. Then I'll come back and help people, right? And then next thing you know, then you're like nothing wrong, but then you're 66 years old, and you may look back and be like, you know what? I spent 15 years too much prepping. I overtrained. I had the right training when I was 21. I should have just gone into the thing and started off small and volunteer. I should have just, knocked door to door and made cookies for my neighbor and said hi, right? Not keep my heads down and try and accumulate as much wealth as I can, right? And I think most of the kind of 90% of Silicon Valley culture has that thing that gets us to a thing, and what it does is just giving yourself permission and unlocking that purpose earlier. That comes from being good fathers, that comes from being good
Mhm.
mothers, that comes from hearing that from fathers and mothers. And if you have a spidey sense that didn't happen as you were growing up, be self-aware, and then break that chain, and do it the right way. So
Mhm. Anthony, I'm conscious of your time, so I'm just going to ask the last question. But I think we should do another podcast that we spend 2 hours and we speak about mindset.
yes, yes.
Awesome. Okay, so By next year, where is Health Hero?
Yeah, I mean, by next year, definitely at least 100 million users that are active on the platform using it. We foresee at least 25 to 25% of those having great biometrics, showing biometrically, statistically, they've have improved health biometrically through our experiences. We foresee, 4 additional health insurance companies as well. Our healthy token would be ideally flying in token price, um, and then just really helping to achieve that mission. And we think we would have launched at least 13 other health heroes or next gen move to earn health to earn companies off of our platform. We're supporting those companies; they're thriving. Maybe 2 of those have become $100 million company or Rhino themselves. That's what success looks like. But at the end of the day, change life and people just sharing this controversial message of spiritual health is everything. And your true spiritual health drives everything, drives society, drives us. So that's what success looks like. That gets me out of bed, and it's exciting time. We're having a lot of fun, almost like an NBA team playing in the finals, right? Almost like a sports team playing in the finals. You train, you train. You can't say you're necessarily having fun, but you're at the peak of that intersection of training, challenge, and enjoyment. And when you stay in that space, it attracts great talent, attracts great investors, attracts customers, but most importantly, it puts us at the cutting edge to stay in front of what can motivate people to get the most optimally healthy, the most recognition, the most reward possible in the simplest way.
That's incredible. Anthony, thank you so much for your
Absolutely.
time, and we'll speak with
Absolutely.
that.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.